Okay. So we're going to finish the day 2 notes, which is the symbol figures. If there's time, we're going to look over the Unit 5 Day 1 and 2 homework, which it could have been completed by today, but if you need it through Tuesday, I'm not going to penalize you if it's late. If you don't have that Unit 5 Day 1, 2 homework, you need to let me know before you walk out the classroom. Because everybody should have received a copy of it. I gave it to everybody before, I think it was a while ago. It was a stinger period. And you all had an opportunity to start working on it. Okay. Take out your notes from last time. And then last but not least, there's going to be a quiz for you, which I'm going to hand out to everybody towards the end, later this period. That's going to help you prepare for your quiz. It is a homework assignment. Just to let you all know. Yeah, that's what we're going to work on today, the second half of it. And then you'll get your homework quiz, quiz review towards the end of the period. And that will just about cover the class. Anybody have any questions for me before we get started? All right. Okay. All right, so we need the notes from last time. Homework. I know some of you already gave it in. I will be grading it over the weekend. Okay. Take your notes out from last class. All right, we're going to get started. We're going to resume where we left off. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, perfect. Okay, let's hide those phones. We don't need the phones. Phones need to go away. Okay, we're going to begin at this time. So the first page we already did. First page, rewind a little bit. Talk about similar figures, the order matters. Some similarity statement, just like your congruent statement. Take your letters in order. Corresponding angles are congruent. Corresponding sides are proportional. Yeah, well, I'm just doing a quick piece through. Yep, you got the right packet. Then, of course, triangle congruent statement or similarity statement. Same thing with a polygon. For your letters, you want to put the 4 letters of the first polygon over the second, or vice versa. That'll tell you which angles are congruent and which sides are congruent from one figure to the other. Then, we also talked about Because you need this to help you determine a couple things. One, whether or not your polygons are similar or proportional. Remember, once you figure out which letters or which sides or angles correspond to the other, then you could start comparing. And you need the same ratio or the same cross product. If it's proportional, then you have two similar figures. But remember, you have to check at least two sides or two angles. If the proportions don't match, just like the second example, then it's not similar. So that, and then I know this was a little different than our notes, but same ideas. Basically, again, similar figures take place when you have proportions are the same, cross products are the same. And then I think we went a little further to the second page. I think we did all this, right? All right, so we were up to 5. Okay, so we were getting ready to do number 5. All right. So again, you can letter if you want to, because some of the polygons are going to be in the same direction, but it's not going to be all the time. Some of the shapes are going to be a little different. And then your scale factor, I know we talked about scale factor for a little bit. That's basically, you need the same proportion, same factor. Like when you go from either the larger polygon to the smaller or vice versa. Now, when you do that, when you do the scale factor, best way to think about it, flip it. Now, the one thing I'm going to do a slight little update is whenever you have something like this with the scale factor, you might see it as one. You know how we divided 15 over 12, it was 1.25? You might sometimes see it as 1.25 over 1. Or 1.25 to 1. You might see it like that. Or similarly, so that was the only thing I forgot to mention. Similarly here, you might see this one, 0.8 over 1, or 0.8 to 1. That's the only thing I wanted to add to that part. But sometimes I might just say, just give me the scale factor, don't worry about the 2-1 business. Something to 1 or over 1. Not going to worry about that as much because we understand that anytime you have any number, the over 1 part is going to be understood. Then the last part, and then we're going to continue with another problem like this today. With our polygon, with our similarity statement, just like the congruence statement, figure out which angles, sides correspond to each other. Now, the angles, usually you just need 1 letter. But we always need 2 letters for sides. Sorry, how many letters do we need for sides? Sides. If I want a side, how many letters? That's strike 2. That's for an angle.
3 sides.
How many letters do I need to make up a side in a polygon? 2. Side. KL. 2 letters. Angle, you only need 1. Sometimes you might need 3, depending on if it's a direction or if there's more than 1 angle at the same spot.
Yeah, but in total it's 4 letters.
Okay.
It says like 4.
I said how many letters for a side? That's called put away your phone. You don't need it. Now, this part right here, I know we did this part, but the proportionality statement, when you're taking two letters, you need at least one of those ratios that have both numbers. Because this is why I highlighted this one from last time, because you need this ratio to help you get any of the other missing values. So you need this ratio here. That's why I highlighted it. I'm going to highlight it in all these problems. That's your initial ratio, the one that has the both numbers, in order to help you get the missing side of any of the other values. So you need this ratio here. You need at least one that has both numbers in order for you to determine your missing side, because with a proportion, sometimes you might have two missing values if it's the same variable. But remember, you need at least, you could have up to three. I mean, they're going to give you three sides. Or they might give you two. Sometimes there might be a, let's say, x plus something or an x minus something. From there, but you definitely need, especially with these types of problems, with the similarities, you need at least one of the ratios to have both numbers. Because if you're missing more than one value, there's a possibility we're not going to be able to find everything. So that was a highlight from last period. Anybody have any questions before we start the next problem, which is going to be very similar to what we did here? Anybody any questions? And I think calculator. There's an extra one between Christian and Andy. So if either of you want to use it, oh no, not anymore. You need it, right, Andy? All right, Edwin, this one might still work. It's low batteries. It should still be okay. All right. All right. Here we go. Moving on. All right. Now, similar to number 4, cross out problem F. We're not going to do that. First thing I want you all to do, list your angles. So again, now, ABCD, can I put it above or below? Or does it matter where I put ABCD? Can I put it above GHIJ or below GHIJ? Does it matter where I put it? So if I put the 4 letters ABCD below GHIJ, can I still determine which angles and sides correspond to each other? Alex is right. Okay, so let's look. Congruent angles. Well, I'll start with G, angle H. Oops, I forgot angle I. Angle J. Angle G is congruent to which angle? A, B, C, or D? Somebody pick one. Look at our order. That's what I tell everybody. Look at our order. Which letter is directly below letter G? It's angle A. Which letter is directly below H? Say it again. B. What about I? What's right below I? Right here. C and D. That's simple. Is that simple, ladies and gentlemen? All right. Proportionality statement's gonna be a little hard. It's not that bad. Just gonna separate it. Okay, again, use our similarity statement. That's not what I want. Well, how many total sides do we have for both of these polygons? How many total sides? 1, 4. So we're going to need 4 parts of this proportionality statement. All right, now. Okay, you pick any side from this trapezoid on the left. Pick any side you want. Somebody pick any side from this first trapezoid.
GJ.
Okay, you can say GJ, that's fine. Okay, I'm okay with that.
Where's the bottom be AD?
With the bottom be AD, very good. I should say GJ. Let me write my G a little bit better. G, J. And you said AD, Andy? Very good. So GJ, AD. And this is very good because what else do we know about both GJ and AD? What do we notice? Unlike all the other sides, GJ and AD both have, do they have variables or do they both have numbers?
Numbers.
They both have numbers. So GJ we see is 5.5. And AD was how much?
11.
11. So since this one has both numbers, highlight this one. May not always be the first one, but this one's going to be the most important one out of the whole bunch. Now, let's do others. So pick another side from this trapezoid.
GH.
Okay, we can go GH. I'm good with that. GH. Boom. Which side matches with GH?
AD.
AD. Now, do we know what GH is?
Y.
That's the Y value. What about AB?
8.
8. Okay, this is going to help us down the road. You can see why we're doing this in a moment or two. What about, what's another side we have? Pick another side from this trapezoid.
JI.
Which one?
JI.
Okay, we can do JI. All right. Boom. JI. What side matches with JI?
DC.
DC, that's right. So you said JI was,
8.
JI is 8, DC is X. Now the last one,
That's HI.
we need HI,
With BC.
HI, BC. Well, HI, you don't know it, but I'm going to give you a hint. BC we said was how much?
11.
11. But now notice, AD was also 11, right?
Mhm.
And the side that corresponded to AD, and this one, the trapezoid was GJ, which is 5.5. So can we take a guess as to what HI could be?
5.5.
It's also going to be 5.5. Very good. They're going to match. These two sides are going to match up. That's because since this side matched up with this side, and we also know that these two sides are going to be the same, therefore this side's got to match up too. This side's got to match up with that side. Now, here's what we need to do. So now we have a proportionality statement. You're going to use this to help you get this part here. So to find x and y, you can use your proportionality statement. And I'll write that. Use proportionality statement. I'll just write statement. Okay. We can use our proportionality statement to get x and y. You know, we'll do that real quick, and then we're going to go back to the scale factor. All right. Now, is it necessary we have to find x and y in order? You don't have to. All right. Now, I'm going to keep the proportionality statement. That's going to be the most important part of the whole problem. All right, so let's look at this. All right. Well, in the end, it's dealer's choice. What do you want to find first, x or y? It's your choice. Somebody raise a hand, x or y. Somebody just tell us.
X.
X, okay. So out of the four, well, first off, which one, well, there's actually two possible options. Which ratio or fraction has both numbers? Which one out of these four has both numbers? You have to look at top and bottom.
AD and BC.
Okay, I mean top and bottom. Look at top, look at bottom. Who's got numbers both top and bottom?
Oh.
What I've highlighted, that's one hint.
AB and JI.
Okay, let me rephrase.
BJAD.
I want this one. Because look, there's a reason why I highlighted this, ladies and gentlemen. You need this initial ratio. That's why we highlighted it. Has a number both the top and the bottom. So this is why we highlighted. You have to use this as your base, your starter. So GJ over AD, that's the one we have to start with, which is 5.5 over 11. You're going to set that equal to, all right, which one of these other ratios has a variable? Which one of these other ratios has a variable? Either above or below. So which one of these others? Where do we see a variable in this proportionality statement? Who could tell us? All right, let's look. GH, do we see at least one variable either for GH or AB? Okay. We can use this as an example. So we can solve for Y. And 5.5 over 11 is equal to Y over 8. There's your proportion. All right. Now, before you solve for Y, I want us really quick. Get our other proportion. Keep your GJ over AD. You're going to need that again. .5 over 11 equals, okay, which other? So we first paired these two. These two got paired already. So now we need a pair. Agenda. So we use this one here. Now, which other ratio has a variable? We already took this one. Which other ratio do you see a variable, either numerator or denominator? Who could tell us? Who could tell us? So, all right, well, you have the y over here. So what other variable is there besides y? X. Okay, where's our x? Which side has the x? Well, what's the name of the side that's on the bottom? Well, DC. DC on the bottom. What two letters are right above DC? JI. Now, DC we don't know. That's an X. But do we know what JI is? 8. Okay, now, are we in a position where we could solve for our variables? Okay, I want you all to solve for these variables real quick. Solve for the Y, solve for the X. So I'll give you a moment or two to take care of that, and I will sign your pass. Remember, use your calculators. Crisscross. If anybody has any questions, let me know. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Lies. Okay, use this one for them. Right. Okay, put that one over here, but yeah, that first one's right, and that's off the X. You're on the right track. Okay, that first one's good. Yeah, you're good on both of them, very good. You're good on both of them, very good. You get the X, all right, I need a Y value. It's way too high for a Y value. Maybe that's 5.5. Right. But it's not far off. Okay, your X is perfect. Find the Y value real quick, okay? But what you did here, spot on. Okay, that's perfect. Okay, you got it. All right. I'll give you about 30 more seconds. Get the Y value, and then we should be on our way. Yeah, you got it. You're good. Here's how we do it, Christian. Okay. So don't forget to get the Y value as well. Those are good, Andy. Good job. When you got it, yep, you got it. Good job, sir. Okay. All right, really quick. Looks like we all got them. So I'm not going to go too much into detail about solving for these proportions. Because once you get your setup, you got it made. So just to make sure. Are we okay with Y being 4 and X being 16? All right. That's some good work there, ladies and gentlemen. Any questions? Again, do your diagonal multiplication. So then it would have been 88 equals 5.5x. And then x would be 16 similarly. You have 11y equal to 44. You're not sure. Remember again, do your diagonal multiplication. Boom, boom. Okay, real quick, scale factor. This was the one time I told you all, if you see the scale factor, what do we do with our order? Keep or flip? From last time, what do we do with our order?
Keep.
Check from the previous page.
We flip.
You gotta flip. So scale factor, you gotta flip. Because here, if we're going from ABCD to GHIJ, are we getting bigger or smaller? If you go from ABCD, which is here, to GHIJ, is our figure getting bigger or smaller? Smaller. So if it's getting smaller, the number is going to be less than 1. That's why I'm going to tell everybody, flip G, H, I, J, put it over A, B, C, D. Now, look at our highlighted letters. What two letters are highlighted from the top? What two letters were highlighted?
GA, or no, GJ and 80.
Okay, so GJ were highlighted. So we're going to cross out the H and the I. So cross them out. What about the bottom?
A and B,
So which two letters do we cross out?
BC,
Cross them out. And then I'm gonna tell you what we do. Because we know what GJ is, right? That is
5.5,
over
11,
11. Now, if we simplify, or just divide the two numbers, what's 5.5 divided by 11? What do we get?
0.5,
You have 0.5. 0.5, or what's the fraction equivalent of 0.5? You can tell us. 0.5. What's the fraction equivalent of 0.5? 0.5, 50%. That means we have exactly
1/2.
1/2. Good. And again, you would tell, if you're going from bigger to smaller, that number has to be less than 1. That's an automatic clue. And similarly, another automatic clue, if you're going from smaller to bigger, is that number going to be less than or greater than 1? If you're going from smaller to bigger, that scale factor better be greater than 1. And that's going to be real easy to figure this out. Again, flip. I tell everybody flip. So we see, so A, B, C, D is going on top. Over N, G, H, J. And then again, what two letters did we cross out? What two letters on the top are crossed out, or the bottom?
BC and J, HI.
Cross out them letters, boom. Cross out these guys, boom. And we know what's AD again? AD is
5.5. 11.
Yeah, you gotta flip it now. The GJ, 5.5. Now, if we divide 11 by 5.5, what would we get? Somebody said it. 2. There's your scale factor. And basically what could have happened, you could flip this guy. Flip your fraction, boom. Because 2 is also 2 over 1. We agree, right? Can you say 2 and 2 over 1 the same? Yeah. So, once you get this one, flip it, you get your other. So they're reciprocals. So yeah, if you went from small to bigger, you're going to multiply by 2. You go this way. You go from bigger to smaller, multiply by 1/2. All right? Any questions? Because chances are there's going to be 1, maybe 2 questions on your quiz about your scale factor. That's the time you need to flip. All right. Anybody other questions before we go to the next stuff? And I think actually this might be some of the harder stuff. I think it might get easier the rest of the way. Okay. Any final questions on these problems here? All right. Now it gets a little easier for these next 3 problems. Now we're going to go back to whether or not our problems are similar or not similar. And basically, well, quickest way to do this is the following. So we have a couple options. So this is kind of like what was on your homework. So you're kind of getting a review on your homework. Whether or not polygons are similar, here's what you do. You have a couple options. You can either compare each side, like the corresponding sides, or you can compare what's within the shape itself. Now, for a lot of these, I'll make it real simple. When you rectangles, it's pretty easy because you know the shorter sides are going to correspond to each other, right? Longer sides correspond to each other, right? So you have a couple ways you can set this up. For one, you could either do shorter, let's say short, long, and then this is first, second. So you could do it that way. First one. That's probably the easiest way for these types of problems. The other way you can do it is you can do it like this. You could say the first polygon, second, and then you can go short or long. So there's more than one way you can set up your proportion and get a correct answer. All right, so now number 3 is going to be a little different, but the nice thing about number 3, everything is marked. All right, so let's look at number 1 real quick. What's your shorter side in the first polygon or the first rectangle? What's the shorter number, 10 or 14? 10. What's the longer side? 15. Now, you could also go length width. That's fine, too. In fact, that might even be the better way. We'll show that more in number 2. Okay, so wait. All right, let's start again. I know, okay, so you went this one. You went with this route, right? You went 10 over 15?
I labeled them with letters.
Okay, that's fine too. So did you label it like A, B, C, D? Or
Yeah,
length and width?
and W, X, Y.
Okay, you can do that too. And then, what was your first ratio?
10 over 15.
Okay,
Was 2 over
10 over 15. So you compared the shorter side from the first one to the shorter of the second one. That's fine too. You did it right. You can go that way. And you're right, 10 over 15 becomes 2 over 3. I'm okay with that. Now, some of us might have said shorter, longer, 10 over 14. And then for this one, if you look at the second one, you want 15 over 21. Or, if you went the larger side, 14 over 21, that's okay too. These are both acceptable proportional setups. They're both acceptable. You went with first, second, shorter side, you get the shorter sides, and then the longer sides. That's okay. Some of us went shorter on the top over longer on the bottom. And then you went first, second. That's okay too. Because here's the goal. In the end,
It's going to be the same for either way.
that's right. It's going to be the same. Here, you're going to get 2 over 3, 2 over 3. On the bottom, I think it goes down to what, 5 over 7? Something like that. But in the end, you know why it's going to be the same, guys? Boom. Boom. your cross product. As long as your cross products are the same, and that's for everybody in the house here. Cross products are the same, boom, you have similar polygons. So that's good work. And again, what did we say? Are there more than one ways to get a correct answer in mathematics? If you show your work, give me your logic, man, you got it. I'm sorry, I forgot to sign that. So yeah, these are definitely going to be similar. Boom. Well done. So number one, big time similar. Okay, number two. All right, what could be, there's one or two ways you could definitely set up this proportion. Who would like to take a guess with number two? Who thinks they want to take a guess as to how to set up our proportion for number two?
18 equals 36. I mean, over 36.
All right, 18 over 36, because you went with
45.
length, 25, 45. With length, okay, you can do that. All right, let's do that, everybody. Let's check. Do our cross multiplying. I want everybody to do this. And we have calculators in front of us, so let's do a multiplication. 36 times 25, 18 times 45. Let's check if they get the same result. All right. Did we get the same two numbers? 36 times? What did you get, Alex?
18 times 45, I got 810.
810, okay.
And then for 36 times 25, I got 900.
All right. Equal or not equal?
No.
No. So are these two similar or not similar?
Not similar.
Not similar. No way. All right, questions on number two. And again, is that the only way we could have figured that out? No. You could have divided 18 over 36, that's 0.5. 25 over 45, that's 0.7 something. Or no, 0.5 something. 0.566 or something, some business like that.
0.7526.
But it's different. The two are going to be different in the end. So yeah, this not going to work. No, not at all. All right, let's look at the bottom. Let's look at number 3. Okay, this one we got to be a little tricky. Let's look at this. We got a couple of options here. Now, you can label it A, B, C, D, W, X, Y, Z. I'm okay with that. However, you got to be very careful because are the trapezoids facing the same direction? No, they're going opposite. The small side's going on top, while the small side for the other one is going towards the bottom. However, the good news is we can kind of see who matches with who, right? We can kind of see who matches because if you think about it, if you twist it, rotate it, 20, 32, 14.8. There is no rule saying you cannot change or flip. You can do that. That's a legal move. So yeah, you can do that. So you can do it as X, W, Y, Z. And legally, you could also flip again. WX, ZY would have flipped. That would have been all right too. Now, but here's the point. Here's the easy point. We know exactly who's going to match with who. So, B and WX are going to match.
It would be 18.5 over 14.8.
Okay, which two did you? Okay, all right. I got an idea. Hold on.
Or do you want to do the cross multiplication?
Well, what you said is okay. The 14, you said,
I said 18.5 over 14.8.
okay, you can do that. I don't want to take away from what you did. You did right. 18.5 matches with the 14.8 on the bottom. No, I didn't want to take away what you said because you said something that was 100% correct.
That would be 5.25.
Okay. All right, if you simplify, you get $1.25. All right, I'm good with that. I want somebody else, though, to give me another possible ratio that would work. I know you got it. I want to see if somebody else has it. All right. What other? So remember, the larger polygon's going above the smaller polygon. So you need somebody else. I want somebody else to pick. In fact, Val, I want you to pick a side on the top. Not the one that's going slanted, but one of these two. Which one?
AB.
So how much is AB worth? Okay. Okay. So we gotta go with the bottom, 20. So if we divide 25 by 20, what do we get? If we divide 25 by 20, 1.25. All right. Now, if we were to check cross multiplication, 20 times 18.5 or 25 times 14.8, I think you should still get the same results. You should check it anyway, but in the end, are these two going to be proportional? Yeah, they're definitely going to be proportional. Or similar, I should say. Now, always check cross multiplication. Because I think 1850, I think you should get 3,700 if you do your multiplication going across. Anybody check that? 18.5 times 20. Oh no, 370, I think, right? Yeah, 20 times 18.5, I think it's 370. All right, and then same thing, 25 times 14.8, you should get 370 as well. So you can do it that way. They're going to be similar. All right, any questions on these? Then on the backside, we're going to do some similar stuff too. So, anybody, any questions on these problems? Because we're going to go to the back and we're going to do some similar stuff. It should not take us that long. And then I think if we knock these problems out, we'll probably have some time to look over the homework or in your study guide. All right, ready? Okay, 3, 2, 1. All right. Now for these, okay. Don't worry about perimeter. Cross out the perimeter part. I'm not gonna have you worry about that on. We're gonna save some time. Perimeter, of course, you just add up your 3 sides. Or you can compare scale factors for the perimeters, but we're not gonna worry about that right now. I want us to worry more about scale factor, and then that's gonna help us determine missing side. I mean, you can go vice versa too, it won't matter. All right, now, let's look at this. In the end, we are told we want to find this value EF. So of course, whatever we don't know, put an X. We agree? We're told to find something, we don't know it, put an X on it, right? So EF, which is that large side on a smaller triangle, that's an X. All right, now, one thing we're going to see right away. We want to know the scale factor. If we're going to go from larger to smaller, is our scale factor going to be greater than 1 or less than 1? Remember, we're going from larger to smaller. So is our scale factor going to be bigger than 1, smaller than 1? All right, now, let's look at 2 sides. Let's look at our sides that are going to compare to each other. But I also want to figure out. Go ahead.
It would be like 12 divided by 2 would be 6. Would that be the whole thing? Like
Okay.
if I were to put 2.5 times 2, would it be 5?
Yes. All right. All right. I like where we're going with this. Okay. All right. I like where we're going with this. Okay, Des, you're spot on with everything you just said was spot on, perfect. Here's why. She said, I start from 12. I divide by 2, I get 6. She's 100% correct. So we went from the bigger to the smaller. Well, if we go from 12 to 6, we took exactly half. So divided by 2 is the same as multiplied by 1/2. So if you go from left to right, your scale factor equals 1/2. And then on the flip side, Des also said, I go from the smaller to the larger, I have to multiply by 2. So then this side would be 5. So if you go from right to left, your scale factor is going to be 2 over 1, which is 2.
So EF would be 6.5.
Perfect. She nailed it. That's the quickest way you can go. Divide by 2, 13 divided by 2, 6.5. Excelente. Say centimeters. But that's excellent work. And basically, just look at which way you're going. Are you going smaller or are you going larger? That's our goal here. All right, well, you both all, all right, which one of you is going to go first? Get your agenda ready. Now, similarly, we go from the first triangle to the second triangle. Are we getting smaller or larger? Larger.
We're not doing perimeter at all.
No, don't worry about perimeter. So we're getting bigger. So right away, is our scale factor going to be smaller or larger than 1? We're going from smaller to bigger. It's going to be larger than 1. Okay. Now remember, you got to be careful. This triangle flipped over. You could also write this other triangle like this. 10, 10, X. So now ask yourself, 5 times what number gave us 10? 5 times 2 gave us 10. So we go from this side over to this side. That scale factor is 2. Now, if we went on the flip side, we go flip side, then we need to, we're going to multiply and divide by 2. You're going to divide by 2. So you divide by 2, which is the same as when you divide by 2, you're taking what of? You're taking half. So if you divide by 2, boom, that's 1/2. And then you could also, you didn't even have to do that. You can just say, okay, I got 2. 2 is 2 over 1, flip, done. There you go, nice, easy peasy. It's not a question. If I'm going if I want to get this X, you see that these guys are the corresponding sides, right? The 2 small sides, they correspond. So if I want to get this X, what am I going to multiply the 1.5 by? Going to multiply by 2. 1.5 times 2 is 3. So X is going to be 3 centimeters. Okay, those were easy. 7 and 8 are going to get a little difficult. They're going to be a little more difficult. Well, actually, 7 I think is going to be the most difficult one. All right, questions on 5 and 6. All right, let's really quick. We're going to go backwards a little. We're going to go from 8, then we're going to do 7. You'll see why. Now, because 8's going to be a little easier. Now again, whenever you have your triangle similarity, always write one set on top of the other. Again, let's cross our perimeter. We don't need to do that. We're not going to do that. Kick it out. All right. Let us talk. Notice, well, right away, figure out what sides correspond to what other sides. And once you do that, then you're gonna have an idea on,
Maybe divided by two.
okay,
Are you trying to do it? Okay, right?
no, in the end, it's gonna be the same. Because,
Honestly, the way you did it.
all right, but why'd you say divide by 2? Talk to me about that, please.
Because the biggest one is the large number, so I just divided it by 2 to get 15.
Okay? And in the end, you're gonna be right. Because you knew that BC is gonna correspond to YZ. So BC, which is 30, you just divided by 2. You get 15. That's good. Here's why that's very good. Because what you can do to get the other 2, you're going to divide by the same number. So now let's figure out who corresponds to what. So BC, we already know, corresponds to YZ. Somebody pick another side of the big triangle.
AC?
Okay, what's AC gonna correspond to?
ZX.
ZX, all right, ZX, XZ, I'll take that. AC was how much?
16.
Now, do we know what X is yet? Or Y is rather? ZX is Y. But, just like before, you divide 16 by 2, divide by 2, what would you get? What's 16 divided by 2? What's 16 divided by 2, ladies and gentlemen? 8. So Y would equal 8. So yeah, just divide by 2. From larger to the smaller triangle. And then by process of elimination, you know that AB and XY are going to connect. And since AB was 34, what's 34 divided by 2? We agree 34 divided by 2 is 17? There you go. That's going to be 17 right there for the X. All you're doing is divide by 2. Or take half. So if we went from bigger to smaller, it would have been a half. If you went from small to bigger, then you multiply by 2. But again, the key is you have to figure out which direction. If you know you're going from smaller to larger, oh, I should have. If you're going from smaller to larger, you know the scale factor has to be larger than 1. If you're going from larger to smaller, scale factor has to be less than 1. That's the purpose of what's going on here. All right, anybody have any questions? You gotta hurry up. Remember, that's number 3. You're gonna get 1, 2, 3. All right. Now this last one. This last one, real quick. I'm just gonna compare the sides. So we're just gonna compare sides real quick. As you know, I, J, K. So we're gonna go IJ over LM equals JK over MN, and then KI and L. So what we're gonna do, we're just gonna set this up. We get this from here, right, ladies and gentlemen? We agree? Zoe, Valerie, we agree? Then from here, so don't worry so much about the scale factor, but just to give you a hint, if you're going from smaller to larger, is that scale factor going to be smaller or bigger than 1? Scale factor, smaller or bigger? If we're going from bigger, larger than 1. But the other way, yeah, that will be smaller. But don't worry about that. I think we're all getting it. That's very good. We're going to talk about it again. Let's just find our variables real quick. All right. Do we know what IJ is? Don't know it yet. It's X. So IJ, that's going to be your X. Oops, I should put X. And then LM, how much is LM? LM is 28. Oops. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to put X over 28. So that's IJ over LM equals, what's JK? JK is 54. JK 54 over, what's MN? MN is 42. 42, good. That's gonna be a little messy. What was it? Y over 35, yeah, KI, Y over 35. KI and L. All right, now, what you're gonna do, you're gonna do this two separate times. So give you a moment.
So do we just cross multiply 2 times?
Yeah, so you're gonna do it once here. And then you're gonna do it a second time. You're gonna have a second one here. That's how you're gonna do your setup. So I'll have you try to find those real quick. come around real quick, see how we're doing with this. All right. Okay, that looks good. Yeah, I don't want you to get confused, okay? That's my fault. How we do? Yep, you got them. We'll talk about the last two real quick. Need to set up. Yeah, you got it. I'm working on them, Cookie. Okay, just give me that was a mistake. I didn't. 28 should have been with the opening stuff. Alright, did we get them last two? Yep. Alex. Okay, yeah, you got the last two, right? Yeah. Cool. Okay. Alright, looks like we're good. What I saw, quick eyeball. 36 was X, 45 Y. We okay with that? Looks like we are. Okay, now, really quick on the last couple. Basically, these last two are more like practice problems. So, you know what, don't worry about this one here. Disregard that question. That's not for you. It wasn't written. I thought about it, but don't worry about that. We'll talk about that later on. Okay, quick. Example 1, you have a flag, 3 feet by 5 feet. Three, 5. Now we have another flag. The shorter side is 36. Now is the shorter side going to correspond with the 3 or the 5? 3. So then the longer side, for the big flag, what are we going to represent it with?
An X probably.
Let's say again?
X.
An X. Perfect. Catherine's right. All right. So now, who would like to tell us how to set up our proportion? How can we set up our proportion given this problem? A couple ways we could do it.
36 over 3. And X over 5.
Okay, you can do that. Then it said 36 over 3. X over 5. That is one way you can do that. Very good. Anybody else? Any other options? Because you get the larger, smaller. And then she went the width and the length. That's perfect. You can set up your proportion exactly that way. That's how you can set up that one. So that's one way you can do it.
Not 60 for X.
Yes. You're good, Jason. It's going to be 60 feet. Yep, perfect. And then the second problem, Mr. Faliga bought a rug whose dimensions were 16 by 20. And then the second rug, he said the length. So is the 50 going to be up, down, or going across?
Up, down.
The length,
Up. Across.
it's going to be across because here's your, I should have put 20 inches, 16 inches. That's the length, that's the width. And then we have 50. The length, 16, X, the width. All right, so who could tell us how we could set up our other proportion? There's a couple ways we could do it. Who wants to take a guess? Multiple options, multiple ways. Don't be shy, anybody. Think you got one? Okay. Tell us, Jason.
Say 16 over X and 20 over 50.
You can do that. 16 over X. 20 over 50. I'll take that. Because you went with smaller flag,
Mm-hmm.
larger flag, and then you went with width and length. That's an acceptable proportion. You can do it that way. Very good.
And then X will equal 40.
Mm-hmm. He's right. Good work. So X is going to be 40 for that second one. Well done. All right. I'll let you work that out. What I'm going to do, I'm going to give you your quiz review. Problems are going to be based on the notes from days 1 and 2. Oops, sorry. Don't worry about periods. I think I accidentally wrote 2, 6, or 7, but don't worry about that period part. Real quick, quiz review. Oh yeah, I gotta update that. I will take care of that. Yeah, I will take care of that. Thank you, Dominic. All right, real quick. 1 or 2 things about the review before we walk out. Okay, we're not finished yet, ladies and gentlemen. I want to talk about 1 or 2 things on that review before we walk out of here. So 1, you want to write it as a fraction. How can we write the 10:15 and the 20 over 20 and 25? How can we write those as fractions? Who could tell us? Uh-huh. Okay. All right. And then you do your check. Do your diagonal multiplication. So that would be, that's a hit there. And try to blaze through these real quick. Okay, 5 is just like 4. These guys are just like the homeworks. Diagonal, diagonal. 2 times 84, 21 times V. No, okay, here, same thing, similar. We just did these. Compare your sides if you have to. Now, one final thing before you go. There was a mistake. There was a typo somewhere. Let's get to it. The very last 2 pages. I need everybody to see this. 13 and 14. You need to switch. Switch. KLM, ABC, switch. It's gonna be the same thing on 14. So 13 and 14, you need to switch. And then everything else should be okay. So 13, 14, switch. Switch the order. And then, okay, everything else should be A-okay.